judgment here, just a friendly ear. Tune in every day, bring your worries near. Life count show, let the heartbeats flow. With Fade, we heal and grow. Life on the couch with Fade. Talk it all out, set your mind free. Life on the couch, stories we share. Fade's there.
I don't care what they say.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Life Couch with Fade. Here we talk about life issues, things that happen to the everyday people, and a lot of times we don't talk about. We create a safe space to discuss these things. Listen to, other people's opinions, and then you are allowed to share your opinion as well. On this episode, we will be talking about lifestyle within and outside church. On set with me today, I have the most beautiful, most elegant, and most intelligent Tola Jimoh. Yay! So, Tola, how are you today?
Faye, I'm ecstatic, and honestly, after that kind of introduction, how can you not feel good? For a second, I was like,
but it's true.
But thank you.
No flatter.
I'm flattered, and I hope I'm going pink in the face.
Anyways, Tola, please introduce yourself.
Happy to. So my name is Tola Jimoh, and I'm a photographer. I'm also a cybersecurity consultant. I run my photography business as well as my cybersecurity business, where we kind of train people who are trying to get into cybersecurity, as well as provide security services to small to medium and even large businesses.
Nice.
On the photography side, it's a family, wedding, and lifestyle photography business. And recently I launched my mentorship program because I feel like
I saw that.
I have too much. I feel like there's just too much in me that I need to share with the world.
I know.
And so, I have people reaching out to say, look, we want to just learn
from you.
And I'm like, okay, you know what, let's launch this.
Yeah.
Me in a very comprised nutshell.
So I did see your pictures recently, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to go for a session. She does very good pictures. Trust me. And then if you want to learn cybersecurity, you know where to go to. You know who to call.
Exactly.
So, Tola, are you a Christian? And do you go to church?
1,000% a Christian.
I like that. 1,000%.
Proudly a Christian. Mm-hmm. I go to church. Mm-hmm. I would say that at some point I struggled with church going because, moving to Canada. And then because when I came here, I went to school. I was trying to rediscover myself and decide, where I really wanted to be outside my other world of things like photography and other passions that I had. And so I feel like at some point, it was
a struggle.
It was a struggle.
Was it about balancing time or, like schedule?
I would say it was a mixture of both.
Okay.
It was balancing the time, it was schedule, it was also, just work. When I say work, I mean like school work. Because you go to school in this country.
I know, I've heard.
Right, yeah, school in this country.
It takes time.
It will test you to the end.
Yeah.
Schooling in this country is a different ball game.
I know. Not anything close to what happens where we're from.
I'm telling you, like I came here and went to do a diploma, and this is me who already has degrees. I felt like I'd never been to school before. I was like, I was humbled.
Oh my God!
So I think at that point in time, I kind of struggled a bit. Yeah, but I feel like when when you're born into a Christian home, and that doesn't really always translate to you ending up a Christian, but when you're born into a Christian home and you grow up with your mother always going to Redeem Camp, you're always part of those things, I feel like even when you find yourself walking away, like there's just something that pulls you back and says, hey.
Yeah, and I think that's just when they say train up a child the way he should go, and when he's old, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And then church at home is kind of different from what it is here.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that took me a while to, I remember those days I'd be in church and you do feel like, okay, did I go to church? It didn't feel like church. So it took a while, especially because I wasn't attending a Nigerian church. So I can relate with that. So, what does life outside of church look like for you right now?
Well, for me, life outside of church is my photography, my cybersecurity business, a little bit of fitness, because that one is the table that I'm never ready to. Like, my goodness. Like,
Fitness.
I've been trying to keep fit, and I know that some people will say, but I find the way you are. You're running. You see me before. See, guy. So I'm struggling with that part too. But then I have my eyes on fitness. I have my eyes on my photography, my mentorship, and then also just trying to live a bit more of a wholesome life.
Okay.
Travel is big for me. I love to travel. So I try to take out time to go places I feel like travel expands, like it opens your thinking.
Exposure and stuff.
Yeah, it just blasts your horizon.
How many countries have you visited?
Quite a few, because you know what? Fun fact. At one point in my life, I was a flight attendant. I was a cabin crew. Yes.
Wow.
So when people ask me how many countries I've gone to, I'm like, let's not go there.
Don't go there. Oh my
I've
God.
literally been to a lot of countries.
Wow. I always admire people who do that, because I can't. I hate to fly.
I know.
I just want to get to the destination and get off.
I know. Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, so what's fun like for you?
Fun, like, for me.
In terms of music, like parties
I
and
love
stuff.
music. I love music. So I used to be in the choir. I haven't had the chance to, go back into the choir here, because again, like you said, the flavor is so different from back home, right? But yes, I used to be in the choir, so I really like music. I love a good sound. Like, I'm the kind of person who actually play like Handel, Messiah, classical music.
Wow.
I also like, a good Nigerian rhythm, like the mesichinos and all, really nice, vibe. But then I can go solemn. I can go both ends of the spectrum pretty much. So music is one of the things I do to relax. I just listen to music. What else do? I feel like the way I've configured my life, everything I do is fun. I don't know. There's no dull moment.
There's no dull moment.
This is what we're doing now. I'm having fun. I try to make sure that everything I get myself involved in is I love. And I'm having fun while at it. So
I know. And there's nothing better than enjoying your work, having fun while working. Especially if you make money.
Exactly. As I tell people,
why not?
I'm like, what is more fulfilling than doing something that brings you money and then you love it? Like,
I know.
It's just a win-win.
Tell me about it. I won't say more than that, so my boss doesn't, watch this. Anyways, so let's get into the meat of the matter. What is your take on maintaining the same lifestyle within and outside of church?
Within and outside of church, what is my take? So it depends on what angle we're trying to dissect this question from. I feel like I don't see why you should even be too different. I don't know how to do those things. Like, one person here, another person here. Like, this is who you get. What you see, what you see is what you get, bro. So I feel like you should just be you. Obviously, there are things that you don't want to do in church for the sake of decorum. Like, for instance, I'm very playful. Like, I'm like a cat. I play too much.
I have seen you.
But I play too much. And it's almost like a blessing and a curse at the same time. So when you're in church, you want to be a little, not like serious. So people you'll still joke with and play with, but then there's a time for solemnity when you're praying or when you're praising or when you're worshiping and you want to reflect, right? But that's just like a very subtle example. But I feel like I should be able to be
yourself,
the same person in a way, inside and outside. Why am I having to wear a different personality outside?
Within and outside.
Then there's a problem.
I will dive deeper into that.
Yeah.
So do you go to clubs?
So, personally, I'll say no. And that's not, and honestly, I don't have nothing against those that go and burn calories is good for your body. For me, I guess it's just not having the time. I'll say number one. Number two, the kind of work that the way I've built my little cocoon does not really afford me the time to do that. And when I was in school, and once in a while, I would maybe go with a friend. I knew that I just, when you just know that, what, I'm not really, I like because I'm a very happy, excited, always person. Cheerful person, exactly. I like to, enjoyed the whole, okay, there's this energy here. But then as much as those energy, there are other things that my spirit fought. So I'd rather hang out with a group of friends in the house or go somewhere. Let's play music. Let's have fun. I don't necessarily need a club to feel like I've had fun. So and also I don't drink. So all my friends that know me always like, Tola doesn't drink. So when I even go out with them, back in the day when I was in school and I go, it's like, you're not even drinking, so what's the point? I'm like, exactly, what am I doing here with you people? So I guess the things that come with the night, I'm also not very disposed to doing.
Okay. So how would you, in your opinion, view, or how would I say, what impression would a person who's a worship leader give you if you find them in a club? Do you think it necessarily means they can't be a worship leader, or it doesn't really matter?
So honestly,
in your opinion,
I have learned not necessarily to judge people, because you never know. I'm not saying that because I was going to say, what if he went there to win souls? You can win souls as superstar too. You can also win souls as superstar.
And not necessarily.
But
you don't have
story for another day.
No, tell the story today. We want to hear.
Okay. I'll drop the juice today. So I mean, he can win souls as superstar.
That's so funny.
But
I'm a laugher, by the way. So
that makes two of us. But you don't know why he went to the club. Maybe he had a distress call and his friend.
No, you actually saw him dancing.
He was dancing and
it
chilling.
didn't have to be maybe he was dancing with his guys.
Okay.
It didn't have to be anything, but he was there dancing.
He was there dancing. Okay.
Having a nice time.
Okay, perfect. Now, thank you
Or she.
Thank you for rearranging the question. So back to what I was trying to say. I have learned not to necessarily judge people. Especially in this, like, just coming to Canada and just, being exposed to different things. Back home, for instance, if you saw like a pastor with a tattoo, it's like, But here, there are pastors with tattoos.
I know.
There are pastors with, maybe they had piercings. They're not necessarily still wearing the earrings. Maybe they had piercings and some are, wearing a tiny stud. And you listen to them and you can almost feel that God is actually speaking through them. So I'm not going to look at him and say, but you wrote 1999 in Roman numerals on your arm. I should be listening to you. I mean, there's that piece. I would, in my opinion, if I was that person, like if I was a worship leader, I would probably want to just be careful where I go, not because people are going to judge me, not because maybe necessarily it's bad to go there, but maybe just because I feel like there will be something that will contradict in my own spirit, is the way I personally would look at it. I would want to stay away from an environment where I would not necessarily hear or receive from God type of thing. So for me, I would personally, I would be, maybe not expect them to be there, but I mean, who knows? Maybe he had a friend who came to town and I was like, let's just go out. Let's go and see what the town is. Let's go and see what's happening outside.
Or birthday.
Or maybe somebody's birthday and then they went there. So you never really know.
Okay.
So I will not judge just by one-off and, you're here, you're dancing. Now what are you doing here? What am I doing there? How did I came and saw you here now? What am I doing?
Oh, Lord.
I
know.
So it's tricky. But if it's like he's a habitual goer, like every Friday and Saturday you are there, then Sunday you come and minister, it's like, okay,
there's something.
Yeah, what exactly is going on?
Yeah, I also, this is another very controversial area, secular music and Christian music.
Yeah.
Do you think if you're a Christian, you shouldn't listen to secular music?
So honestly, I feel like the lines are getting very blurred. When you see secular music, sometimes, I mean, it depends on, there's supposed secular music, like Who's Your Guy? Spyro.
I know.
But
And he doesn't say anything, right?
and he's actually, the Spyro guy is actually supposed to be like, he's a believer.
So I
if
hear.
you listen to like his songs, they're not
Vulgar.
They're not vulgar. I saw him put out a post one time saying that I think the girls were coming to
Yeah,
dance.
I saw that as well.
cover
I
up.
saw
was
that.
like, wow, like so people can even do this, you know, that kind of thing. Like so, but in a sense, there are people living in Christendom who still consider his music very secular, right?
But
then,
in your opinion?
I think a song like that is fine. I feel like even the songs of back in the day, like, you know, like an Onye Kanwenu, they were
Those are
songs,
neutral songs,
they were
right?
very neutral, and they were very, you know, a lot of them were, oh, Mama Africa. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong about singing about
I
Mama
know,
Africa,
I know.
that kind of thing. But it's not necessarily gospel, right?
Yeah.
So though there are some songs that you know what, this song is not like it's bad, but there are some songs that I can, for the sake of even our podcast, I cannot even say the lyrics on this podcast because you'd be like,
You'd be
cut,
like-
cut, you know, like.
I remember because sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say my church, we can be very liberal. And I remember there was a post, something about energy. Negative energy. I really like that song. Something like that. And then I had a friend of mine, and I reposted it on my Instagram page. And a friend of mine was like, is this not your church? I said, yes. I said, is this not worldly music or song you guys are? I'm like, what does it say? The lyric, it talks about not wanting negative energy around you, and who does, right?
Exactly.
So I, for me personally, message is important. What are the words?
Message is important.
But I don't know if you find yourself singing. Sometimes you don't even know the words, but you like the beats and you find yourself dancing. There was a day I posted something and someone was like, what song is this? I was like, I don't even know. I don't know what song they're singing. I just know I'm dancing. So I don't know. Sometimes, you find that people judge. I don't know. But in your opinion, as long as the words are right, or...
Just like you said, I feel like you hit the nail right on the head. Message is important. If the message is, pure, clean,
like Bugao,
like Buga, even God wants us to Buga sometimes. I say Buga in your father.
I know, right?
If God wants you to brag in Him, boast in the Lord, right? So I feel like there are some songs we know. We all know when a song is already passing the some songs are actually made to make you. Think about
what you shouldn't think about.
Think about the negative, right? Or what you shouldn't think about, right?
Yeah. I was having a conversation with someone and they were like, if we have actors, like Christian actors who act regular movies, why can't we have, just Christian who also sing regular songs? They don't necessarily have to sing, Christian songs. It doesn't mean they're not Christian.
Actually.
Right? For example, okay, I'm not supposed to mention names. The new pastor, the new overseer for Fountain of Life, he acts and not necessarily, Christian movies.
Exactly.
So, and it doesn't mean he's anything less of a Christian.
Right.
Do you think that people, this saying, when you're in Rome, you behave like a Roman? Do you think that's why people maybe behave a certain type of way in church and a certain type of way outside church? For example, would you twerk in church? Twerk,
Well, so, this question is, wants to carry us to where we don't want to go, but let's go
Please talk about it.
So, you know what? Have you ever read like the book of Psalms and have you seen the way God was kind of like, David is the man after my heart. Why do you think God loved David to stupor?
Worship. And he had a good heart. If you study David,
And David was somebody who gave thanksgiving to God, like his life depended on it. And David would dance, and people would even laugh at him and say, "Why are you dancing like this?" Right? So the Bible didn't necessarily mention twerk, but I'm sure that David danced in a way that would question, common sense. So should you twerk in church? It's God that gave you the body, man.
I
Shake it
know,
for
right?
him. But now, again, like I said before, it's knowing where to draw the line. You know, we sisters now. You know, there's one fine brother that me. He now.
You know, deliberately turn, so intentions are important as well, right?
It just happens that Brother Lagbaja is sitting next to you that day, or sitting like
You'll be like, oh, T. Wallenly.
Now, you now say, so today I'm going to twerk Koda. God,
you must know how flexible.
You will receive my praise today. You will be, even you, God, you'll be like, Stella. Why?
No, maybe God actually put them side by side. Divine connection.
Maybe God put them together so that they could orchestrate the divine
I know.
that day. So that day, your twerking is not for the Lord. You know that your twerking is for the uncle beside you. So intention is very important, and then how you do it. And then we're all adults, so let's go there a little. You know that there are also clothes that you wear. I could twerk in this kind of dress because it's not necessarily clingy. It won't even look, like I'm doing anything bad. And then there's some very nice, fine see-through that you wear that
even without twerking. They already have.
Do you understand? Even without twerking, we've already seen the whole figure eight, and it's like so intention is important. There's really nothing wrong with dancing, for God. Have you seen like when people go to church and then they're, something happened, God just embarrassed them to the end, and they're like, they come to give a testimony. After they give testimony, they start rolling. Like I see that a lot. And I'm like, God, don't want to tell me that
I've done that before.
I need to roll now. Let me roll. I think I've done it once before, but I'm like, I want more testimonies that will make me roll.
Yes.
Are they're not rolling for man. They're just like, you know what, God, you've done so much, and this is me coming back to say thank you, and I'm going to just mesmerize myself.
The lowest form.
I'm going to go down low, whatever it is I need to do to express my gratitude. So you can twerk, but what's the intention? What's the intention?
Okay, what about things like vaping?
You see that one? Like I said, say
it. What
do I know? So, because personally, I don't drink, I don't smoke, and so let me tell you something. Growing up in Nigeria, every cigarette ad said smokers are liable to die young. And the Ministry of Health had said, you know what? Put this as you're selling your tobacco.
Put the disclaimer or clause.
To let people know that we are selling this thing to you, but therein is your end, kind of thing. So, if you're indulging in a habit that essentially can potentially snuff your life away, that's the way I look at it. Like, why do you want to
do it?
Why do you want to do it? But if vaping is your own coping mechanism to get off the addiction, who knows? Maybe, I don't know if it's medically prescribed for some people. Like, okay, you know what, don't stop smoking, so maybe let's step you down to vaping. So it may even be medical. Who knows? Who knows? I don't. Right? So, but if it's a step towards recovery, then maybe. But personally...
But if it's just fun, because someone might be vaping, and they have the best heart. It doesn't mean they fornicate. It doesn't mean they,
Of course.
And then someone's not vaping. So should that really define anything? Do you get what I mean?
That's a good question. That's a really good question, because I met people who, maybe do indulge in one or two things that we consider vices. I don't even think people consider vaping a vice per se, but but let's say someone who vapes, but they're an incredibly great human being. And so that's why I say personally, I don't judge, because I think at that point, really, it's between him and his maker. Because you see this place called heaven. We'll be shocked when we get there, because maybe it's Fela is the one that opened the door for some of us. Fela, you're here. Because honestly, like, I feel like sometimes we're very, this one.
I know.
She's wearing yellow. Don't know, yellow is like this color. It's bringing you out. Like, I see wear black like Tola.
I know.
That kind of, like, there's so many. The other thing is there's so many standards. There are too many standards, even in Christendom. There's people who say, don't wear earrings. I don't wear earrings, but that's not because it's just
I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
You're still as beautiful as ever.
You see, you didn't even notice. And thank God now my headphones are covering it. So but I will wear my ring, I would do my nails, self-care, but I don't wear earrings, but it doesn't make me now better than the person
I
who's
know
wearing
who
a
that-
ring,
yeah,
or you
yeah.
know what I mean. So honestly, that's a very good question. Again, though, I mean, the Bible does say that God is no respecter of person, and His word says that our holiness is like a filthy rag before Him. So I'm like, if this person has these types of standards, then
Then who can stand?
Who can stand? And then who am I now to judge if
Someone else.
Someone else.
And that's what we do here. This is a no judge zone. That was almost the name of this show. No judge zone. We say it as is
Yeah.
because we know that everybody goes through these things.
Yeah.
You have a struggle at a point in time. It doesn't mean it's not the end of you.
No.
You have an addiction at a point in time. It's not the end of you, right?
Exactly.
And just like you said, we'll be surprised if David can still be the man after God's heart. Despite everything. And what stood out for him? His heart of worship. He probably
Exactly.
just loved God genuinely and
Exactly.
loved people around him. Because when
Yeah.
I studied David's life with Epsiba, she does this thing cover to cover. There was a time I was joining, and I was like, this guy has a good heart. He was generous.
Yeah.
He was thoughtful.
Yeah.
So maybe, and then the Bible. I was discussing with someone recently, and he said, and we were talking about taking care of the poor. You know where God said, "You fed me when I was hungry and stuff."
Hungry, yeah.
And the person was like, when did I feed you? So maybe, I don't know. We'll be surprised.
Exactly.
That's my point,
Exactly.
right? Sometimes I feel God sees your heart, and that's what's important. And I understand when you what you were talking about, when you said if you're a worship leader, there are places that you should be seen and all that. I understand the role of that person as, what word am I looking for now?
As an example.
An example to other people. And sometimes I feel like it's a burden sometimes.
It is. It can be. And that's why I also feel like you need to, it's good to be called to those positions.
Yeah.
Because it comes with a lot of responsibility. I feel like sometimes people just take up positions without necessarily, and we say, okay, no, but he's a human being. He also has but it's just like a Catholic priest. A Catholic priest, we don't expect that they are going to get married or maybe, try to have children and all of that. It's not because having children is bad, but that's the path you've chosen. Such that when you now hear that a priest is doing
something or the other.
You instantly feel bad. It's not because the act is bad.
Yeah,
God Himself created procreation and said, "Go ye into the world and multiply." But if you've chosen that, look, this is the mantle that I want to bear, then why exactly are you now going again? So it's more like, well, you've decided to stand in this office and hold this mandate. So
Then some things come with that.
Some things come with that. We're just being in that space. Yeah.
All right. So I'll just talk about this again. I mentioned it earlier that when you're in Rome, you behave like a Roman. I know a lot of people feel like, okay, if I'm in church, this is how I should behave. And, the respect that church requires, they give it to it. And then out there, if you feel like, okay, I'm not in church, I can maybe wear what I want to wear and, shake my, twerk in front of a guy as I like. I'm not in church.
Yeah.
So would you say that's pretense? Or would you say, oh, it's just the truth,
Yeah.
And what's your take on that?
I feel like to an extent, sometimes people are still yet to identify who they really are and who they want to identify as. And so I feel like that's where we need to also give grace as Christians, because you don't even know the time and season that person is going through. Maybe the person just came out from a tragic relationship, they're bleeding, they're hurting, and this is just, maybe they're going to go in therapy and this is just their own coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Not to say it is good or bad, but then they're going through a season and a time that I probably don't even have any knowledge of, right? And so in that way, I would say I would like to give grace, and I think it's something that we should all learn to do, is also just give that bit of grace, And then the other thing is really coming into the fullness of who you are, because in the growth curve, can't speak. in the growth curve of life, you get to a point where you just become very, very unshakable. You become so resolute in your faith. You just can't be bothered what the next person thinks
about you.
But it takes time.
Maturity.
It takes maturity. I mean, all my friends, everybody who knows me will tell you that if you bring a drink, you're wasting your time. In fact, I have a friend who will always say, like, when I'm coming to their house, anytime they have a party or a birthday, they'll say, just bring your hallelujah wine. Literally, that's what they call it. They'll say, bring your hallelujah juice because it's going to be all alcohol here today. I'll say, no, thank you for the heads up. I'm bringing my apple juice with me boldly in my hand. So I've gotten to a point where I don't even feel like
it's out of place or anything.
Yeah, I don't feel like I need to sip to fit in. I very well fit in everywhere I go, as much as I need to and as much as I want to. I find that the glass of champagne does not define me. It's not what makes me cool. I'm cool from head to toe if I do say so myself. I don't need to have that validation. The people who say, "Oh, I'm a social drinker." What is that? Again, I don't want to judge, but then it's like, oh, I will drink because others are drinking. Okay, if that's how you cope, that's okay.
Fine.
But I don't have the same pressure, right?
I would ask you a question from that. Do you not drink because of religious reasons, or it's just a thing, personal decision? Good
question. So growing up, my mom used to bake a lot. And in some of the cakes, especially like wedding cakes, she would put a little bit of brandy in it for preservation. Honestly, I have nothing against people who decide that they drink. I don't think it's a bad thing. And I'll tell you that it's not even from a religious standpoint.
Okay.
So I grew up with a very sweet tooth. Like if you bring cakes and puff puff, those are the things like I would choose cake over jollof rice. Like it's that bad.
Wow.
So I have an extremely sweet tooth. And just growing up from having things like brandy or brandy essence for cakes in the house, when my mom is cooking or baking and I taste it, I'm like, this thing is not even nice. Why do people drink this thing as if, And then, when you have parties and you smell the beer, like it doesn't even smell good.
It's not.
I don't think it's tasty. So when I see people, really happy, they're enjoying it, I'm like, this is something I don't understand. So it's more of I don't think it's nice, right? And then as I also started to grow into a woman, I would go out with my friends once in a while, or maybe we're just hanging out. Again, school was the days when I was exploring, right? So we'll go out and then I'll see people lose control. And it's all from the drinks they've had. So for me, because I like to be conscious of myself. I like to know where I am per time. I grew up...
And be in charge of yourself.
And be in charge of myself. So I grew up in a house where I was the only girl. I have 3 elder brothers.
Oh, nice.
And so I always just needed to be conscious of myself at any time. So
their friends would be around.
And their friends would be around, And sometimes, of course, your brother's friends know to stay off you because you're off limits. But then again, I'd hear things that they would say, and I'm like, oh wow, So I just always wanted to be conscious of myself. And when I see the effect that drinks have on people, I'm like, why don't you put yourself in a place where you're vulnerable? You can't say no, you can't say yes, you can't drive yourself home.
You don't even remember.
You don't even, they're telling you did this, and you're like,
and you're like, when did I do it?
You're saying, tell me more. I did this. Tell me what I did. Like, I don't like to be in that situation. I like to know what I'm doing. I like to be aware. So for me, it's actually from that standpoint. It's nothing to do with religion. Or religious. Actually, no.
Because I think that's where moderation comes in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because again, I'll tell you what, when I have these arguments, some people will say, oh, but drinking is bad. I'll say, I don't think it's necessarily bad. I think it's in the amount that you do it. Because guess what? Jesus turned water to wine. Now, I don't think they told us whether I was alcoholic or not, but...
That's an argument for another day.
That argument for another day. But the way the people in the room were marrying, it did not look like the marrying was just normal...
Non-alcoholic merriment.
Non-alcoholic marrying. I felt that marrying was... there was a little bit of something in it, but then it's to what extent, like you said, moderation is key.
Yeah. I think as Christians, that's important. I drink I don't know. I hear it. I don't know if it's called wine. I know they have different names, but when there's a little bit of alcohol, but it's sweet. It has to be sweet.
Yeah.
And maybe not more than 5% or 7% or whatever, right? So I would say I'm not. I don't think it's bad.
Me too.
Moderation is important, and not where you're
Moderation is
drinking. And that's my opinion. Don't come for me.
I just exactly.
Yeah.
I've seen people who would drink and say, tonight I want to get.
For what reason?
To get higher and forget my sorrows. I want to. Like some people actually want to drink themselves into a state of oblivion, which is where I think.
And you come back to.
And the thing
the
is,
regular state and the problems waiting for
when you go into oblivion and you come back, the things you're running from are still waiting for you. I mean, I like to be very much aware, please. so that's why I'm just like, well, maybe for me it's not really it, but
it's not a thing.
But it's not. I don't have anything against anybody who drinks, and I think that if our Lord Jesus turned water to wine, I feel like a little bit of wine can't hurt anyone.
And I hear it's good for the heart.
And I hear exactly. So moderation.
That's what a lot of people hold on to. But remember moderation, right? What about smoking?
Smoking, interestingly, again, like I said, for me, just because I've always, thought, this thing will kill somebody, and then, what growing up in Africa can dent can traumatize you. So even if there's nothing wrong with smoking, the people who I saw smoking were not even anything exemplary per se. You see the bus conductor smoking, their lips are black and charred.
And then you don't want to be part of
they
that.
look scary, and I'm like, is this what? So it was never something that I picked up, and I'm not sure if there's a biblical reference as to whether
smoking. Did they
it
smoke
is
then?
bad.
Did anybody smoke in the Bible?
That's a good question. That's a good takeaway.
If it's there, let me know. I'm not sure that I've seen.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I can definitely take this to my mom and my aunt and one of my uncles. They will sit on this matter for days and they will dig it up. But I mean, I personally just never picked it up. But then again, I mean, who knows? Would we say doing it in moderation? But that's the thing.
How do you do that in moderation, though?
That's the problem.
Addiction,
That is the problem.
That's
because,
it.
You see, all these things that we're saying, do in moderation, there are also things that it just
if you're not careful.
Yeah, it feels like at some point you can't even control yourself.
Yeah, it creeps up on you, right?
So it's like saying, okay, use drugs. Abuse yourself.
Maybe just a little bit.
In moderation. Really, does that ever go well for anybody? Let's be honest. Right?
Yeah, that's why. And I was telling someone today that some of the things in the Bible, when they say not to do, actually it's for you. It's for you to avoid hurt, to avoid pain, and things like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think culture also comes into play. For example, I'll give you an example. When I was in secondary school, I remember in secondary school then we had like the spiricocos.
Oh yeah.
Those are the very holy. Sometimes when they walked, in fact, they were bent to show how holy they were. And we had the bubblers.
Yes.
The bubblers, those ones that don't care about church. And we had the neutrals. I think I was part of the neutrals. Because, I wasn't a bubbler. I wasn't, but just in between. But of course, because I go to church at home and all. So in school, I would go to church, and things like that. And one of the things we knew then was that it was wrong to wear pants or trousers.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember when I was back at home, I wouldn't want to wear, I think my mom made this jumpsuit for me or something, and I didn't want to wear pants. And then my uncle called me and said, so that day I was like, I asked him, I was like, do you think as a Christian I shouldn't wear pants? And he was like, in the Bible, do you know if they wore pants? I think it was robes they had on those days. So who says pants, and all that. So I think the role of culture as well has a lot to do with the way we think about Christianity sometimes.
And that's why I said growing up in Africa can traumatize, traumatize you to the ends of the earth. I've also had my fair share of those discussions. So I grew up in a home too where my mom never bought me trousers. Like we always used to wear skirts. My mom was because she was a cabin crew too. And it was because of her that I became a
Come
cabin
on.
crew. So she was very smart. So she would buy me like knee lengths. She wasn't like, oh, your skirt has to be here. Please now, mom. She'll buy me knee length skirts. She'll buy me nice dresses because she was always traveling.
Yeah.
So she gave me great things, but she never buy me trousers. And then as I grew up, my friends are going out, they're wearing, as a teenager, everyone's wearing trousers. It was just me, university too. I barely had any trousers. I was just, but... So one day I came home from university and I was talking to my mom and I'm like, this trouser matter. Like, is it, I don't understand. Like, why don't you let me wear trousers? And she said, but a man should not wear a woman's dress. A woman should not wear. And this is the exact same thing I said to her. I said, Mommy, in the Bible, I said two things. In the Bible, first of all, when Jesus was walking through the city, they said the woman with the issue of blood touched the hem of his garment. You're not saying he touched the hem of his trouser. I said, Mommy, please, let us be objective here. Because once you enter university now, you can be talking to your African mother's back little by little, just small. Not so much because the stick is still waiting for you. But small.
Or the slap from nowhere.
I'm telling you. So I'm like, I did not say she touched the hem of his trouser. That's number one, right? I'm like, the other thing is, who really defines what is a man's dress and what is a woman's dress? Like, it's society led. Like, I'm like, Mommy, in the Victorian, back in the day,
they had skirts.
and there's even men who still wear skirts. Like the Scots wear skirts. So I'm like, I don't know this area, and I promise you, till today, it's still slightly grey for me because I really grew up in a home where I couldn't wear trousers, and I'll be very honest with you. Even today, I still have. My mind still fights it a little. Like, just a little. Just a little. Like, you wearing trousers. No, I beg, just wear that kind of thing. Like, that's it. That trauma of, maybe this thing is bad. I still fight it a little, but I'm like, oh, I beg.
Yeah. It reminds me of a time so the church I used to attend, we used to travel as a group, sometimes up to 100 people. We would go to the US and stuff. And we went to the US and we saw a group of people. Like you get to the lobby of a hotel and you see people tattooed and all. And then you have an impression. And then next thing, you see all of them hold hands and begin to pray. My pastor was like...
And then you're like, yeah.
He was like, he learned not to judge.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, like... I write my name on my hand. What does that have to do with anything? Or, like sometimes some of the things, like you said, when we get to heaven, we'll be surprised.
Exactly. No, totally. It's just like also back in the day, I don't know what it's like in like the Canadian and American or British cultures, but like back home in Nigeria, people who were born maybe like in the early 1900s would have like their names written on them, for identification. Yep. They would even, give them like tribal marks to identify and say, look, we're of this tribe. And these people were even marked without their permission. They didn't even know that they were marked. And
my mom has her name written on her forearm here.
Yeah. And you know what? It's not like it's not even done fancy or anything. It's just we just want to identify that this is our person.
I know.
If she ever gets lost, you know to return her to the nearest.
No, I think my mom did
something.
hers for fancy.
Was that fancy? But there's people who like just. I remember like in Nigeria, the fish sellers who sell that round fish. I forgot what it's called.
Catfish.
I don't know if it's catfish. It's smoked fish that you can put in like soups and stuff. Those women, I think they're from. I forgot what
is it Togo or Lome?
Togo or Lome. So they always had their names, and it wasn't really fancily done. It was just their names or some writings that you could use to identify them and probably like where they're from. So I guess there's levels to these things, and I don't know. I'll say first of all, our God is a merciful God, and then also we just need to understand that part of really giving grace, because you don't know. I was
going to touch on that one.
You really don't know.
Yep, you don't know. Someone might be struggling with their Christian life or with a thing or two. It's not your place to see them, judge them, gossip about them. If it bothers you so much, pray for them.
Exactly.
Rather than judge. I would say I've learned a very hard way. I learned a very, very, I would say my name was Georgina Ibe. But in the past 2-3 years, I've learned that sometimes you find yourself in difficult situations where
Yeah.
sometimes you're helpless.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's deliberate or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've learned not to judge.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm doing this. This is one of the reasons why I do this.
Oh.
So any other things you want to tell our audience today?
First of all, I want to say, Faye, this is so wonderful. This session has been therapeutic for me. I really loved being on here. It's great to see people in the African space doing things like this, bringing, perspectives and, just creating that safe space where we can talk about things like this. And we're not hindered. We don't feel judged.
Yep.
And I kind of just want to say that, look, the Bible says, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. So even the Bible understands that
it's your race.
It's your race, and there's going to be a struggle. They did not say, because the road, what did they say about the road? It's narrow, right? Like you're bound to struggle, but then that's why you have the word to keep you accountable. That's why you have your church. That's why you have your quiet time to pray and commune. Let's give a bit more grace to people out there and even to ourselves.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we do things and we're like I've cancelled myself so many times this year. I'm like, Tola, how can you do this? You're cancelled. No, you can't even be forgiven. But no, that's not the way God sees us, and it's definitely the lie of the devil to make us kind of like just.
I have
goosebumps. I've already deviated. Let me just continue.
No.
Let me just be deviating and be going.
Yeah.
But no, like let's always reconnect. Listen to that still small voice. That voice is so small. Sometimes you're like, is this just my mind talking to me? But yeah, just listen to that small voice, and that voice will lead you on the right path.
Thank you so much.
Don't mention it, Faye.
See?
I love being here.
See? I told you, intelligent, elegant, and beautiful. Thank you so much, Tola. It's been amazing talking to you.
I've had so much fun, and I wish we could go on and on. You must bring me back again.
We will bring you back.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been fun. And thank you so much to everyone who has stuck with us till the end of this episode. I hope you've been able to pick 1 or 2 things. If you want to share, feel free to add your comments in the comment section. If you want to share anonymously, my contact is on there. Feel free to share. I will post on your behalf. Please like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, bye.
Life on the couch, stories we share.